Hey, what's up YouTube? It's John Miro, and today we're gonna do things a little bit different. So we come across some information that you guys will really find helpful, and like we said in our due diligence is we wanna bring you guys up to speed on what's happening and actually show you the articles that we're looking at. So don't forget about that huge giveaway we're doing when this channel hits 60,000 subscribers. We can do it because you guys are awesome, and every day is getting closer and closer. So definitely jump in because 3 lucky subscribers are gonna win some money. So if people haven't already been talking about inflation, it's going much higher. There's something that was stated that around the corner there could be a recession, and that's something that we're all not wanting to happen because things are hard now. We don't want to see what it's like during a recession. We're hoping that the Biden administration can do their job and get people taken care of. I'm glad they can take care of other countries, but we need help in this country. We need help in the United States. There are people who are struggling with these high gas prices, with high grocery bills, and they're trying to put food on the table, trying to get to work, and this thing is just keep going up, and they're not getting any help. So we're needing the Biden administration to step up and do their job. So what was crazy is I came across a video that really opened up my eyes, and I thought, man, you guys definitely need to see this because this is showing kind of what's been going on concerning inflation. Well, why is inflation so important? Because everything that happens with the Social Security and those on benefits is going to rise because inflation keeps rising. So that's good news for you guys. But how good news is it when inflation just keeps going higher and higher? If you make more, but it costs more to live, that really doesn't put you ahead. It kind of puts you even or worse under because there's no stopping the gas prices and the cost of groceries. One moment it could be high beef. The next moment it could be high on vegetables. And there's things that are just seeming to get out of control. And we need a resolution. We need them to come up with a resolution for us to be able to say, hey, we're gonna send out more stimulus checks without hurting the economy, but we're gonna get Americans the help that they need. So check this video out and tell me, how do you feel about the inflation and what's going on? Because this hasn't happened since the last 40 years since Ronald Reagan was president, and I think you'll enjoy this video.
This week, the Federal Reserve announced its first interest rate hike in 3 years. And it wasn't a total shock. Experts had anticipated this quarter-point rate, with forecasts showing it's only the first of several hikes this year. It comes as a lot of Americans are feeling that pinch at the gas station and the checkout counter because of months of rising inflation, the kind of thing we haven't seen in decades. Historically, interest hikes can be an effective way to tame inflation, but how long will it take to play out, and what does it mean for you? NBC's business and tech correspondent Jolene Kent takes a look at our Sunday Focus.
The last time Americans saw inflation soar this high was more than 40 years ago.
Ending inflation means freeing all Americans from the terror of runaway living costs.
It was 1981. The Federal Reserve, chaired by Paul Volcker, hiked interest rates to record heights after a decade of sky-high prices.
The prime lending rate went back up to a crushing 20% today.
The goal was to tame inflation, exacerbated by the fuel shortage of the 1970s that triggered long lines for gas nationwide.
And they try to blame it on us as the dealer, and it certainly isn't our fault.
It's a proven solution. Higher interest rates make it more expensive to borrow money, like for homes and cars, inflicting some controlled pain on the economy so spending slows and prices come down. Fast forward to 2022.
Every week is something new. It's beef prices, it's produce, it's avocados, it's takeout containers. Now it's fuel.
Inflation is now nearly 8%, the highest since Reagan was president.
In every aspect, it's higher, but your wages don't go up any higher.
Triggering Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to raise interest rates for the first time since 2018.
The FOMC raised its policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point.
But this time around, what's driving inflation is pretty different than the 70s and 80s.
This is a pretty unique situation because it's very much tied up with the pandemic and all of the fiscal support that Congress enacted because of the pandemic.
consumers are facing a never-before-seen trifecta of a pandemic with record consumer demand, a strong jobs market, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So when the pandemic hit and money was poured into the economy by way of stimulus checks and slashed interest rates, as well as money injected into the economy by the Fed, many consumers who could afford it started buying a lot more stuff. That collided with supply chain problems around the world. And still, many of America's biggest corporations reported record profits because they raised their prices and sold more goods.
Do you think that companies are raising prices because they can, just by the laws of supply and demand?
They are facing an extraordinary increase in demand for their goods, and lo and behold, in response, they're raising prices. That is raising profits, just as you'd expect that any company seeing a big demand for its goods should become more profitable.
The Fed says inflation is expected to be high through this summer before coming down sharply next year.
What is your message to consumers out there who can no longer afford the basics?
We very much take to heart that it's our obligation to restore price stability, bring inflation back down to more normal levels, which our target is 2%.
And Joe joins us now live. Joe, good morning to you. Listen, this rate hike that we just saw this week may be the first in a while, but we don't think it's going to be the last, right? What are you expecting down the road?
Hey, Hallie, good morning. Brace yourself for another 6 rate hikes this year, with the next one at the upcoming Fed meeting in May. Now, this will make mortgages, car loans, and credit card debt much more expensive across the board. And now there are also some fears of a recession around the corner, given how much the Fed's raising rates right now, right? So when I asked Chair Powell about that, worries of layoffs and job losses down the road, he told me that he thinks the job market will remain strong and said that he believes the Fed can get inflation down from about 8% right now to about 2% next year. But he left the door open that the Fed might need to adapt and change its mind depending on how our economy fares. Hallie.
Leaving some room for flexibility for sure. Joel and Ken, thank you so much. Good to see you.
All right, guys, what did you think about that video? It was so informing. It really kind of showed us a light on things that were going on. The inflation that literally happened 40 years ago. It's a little different now, but inflation is inflation, and people need help. So this is how the Federal Reserve plans to control inflation. Let's not send people more money. Let's just raise interest rates. Well, that'll keep people from spending, and once people stop spending, then everything will go back down. Can you please tell me how much sense that really makes? Because why raise the interest rates just to stop people from buying? Don't we want consumers buying? Doesn't businesses want people to buy their product? Why raise it so much on buying cars, buying houses, when people won't be able to afford it because of the high interest rate? The Federal Reserve announced its first interest rate hike in 3 years as Americans are seeing higher prices overall due to months of rising inflation. Interest hikes can be an effective way to tame inflation, but how long will it take to play out? In the meantime, what does it mean for you? This is information that is really mind-boggling because people are trying to figure out what is going to happen. Should we prepare now? How do we prepare now? This thing seems out of control, and we need our government, Congress, Senate, we need them to take action to get things back under control. So real fast, I set a poll out in our community post. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And I simply asked this question because through the comments, it seems like we're kind of divided. Some are pro for the Republicans, some are for the Democrats, and some like it just the way it is. And remember, your own opinion, it's all good. We're not here to bash you. You can voice it, and we're not going to go against you. Everybody has a platform to voice their opinion. Now, please be mindful and respectful of others because everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But check this out. Who would you vote for? Do you still trust Joe Biden, or is it time for someone new? Just a simple question. Cast your vote now. And then I also asked, would you like to see a video on this? And if people say yes, then we'll do a separate video. But out of 133 votes, Democrats with the new president is 38%, Republicans is 38%, and people voted 23% to keep Joe Biden still. So this shows you that this channel is kind of divided right down the middle because people feel like the Republicans will make things better, and some feel like the Democrats will make things better. We just need a new president. And then there's some people that feel Joe Biden is doing a good job concerning the things that he's having to deal with. Here's where I fall into that. We were having a conversation with somebody, one of the subscribers on our channel, and it was simply, if you look at the economy, it was better before than it is now. And then they said, well, you can't really look at the economy. Well, what else can we look at? My question to you is, what do we look at to determine how well our country is doing? If our economy fails, if people are struggling now more than ever, does that seem like those in leadership are doing their job? When gas was down in the $2 and people were able to pay for gas, groceries weren't through the roof, that seems to me like the government, those in Congress and the Senate are doing the job. But when things are chaos and things are higher and people can't afford it, and the answer is to raise interest rates, does that really seem like they've got it under control? Well, you tell me. The floor is open. Let us know down in the comments below how you feel about it. But now to the news that you guys have been waiting for, the thumbnail that I created about the rise for Social Security. This inflation is going crazy, but if you look at the screen, high inflation points to bigger Social Security cost of living adjustments for 2023, but keep in mind it could be sooner because inflation is kind of going through the roof that it's done more than 40 years. It's crazy. These retirees, they're really taking a shock everywhere because the grocery stores and the gas pumps, they're just going crazy. Those rising prices could mean an even higher Social Security cost of living adjustment for next year. So here's how the annual bump could shape up. This is what the latest Consumer Price Index is saying. Retirees who are feeling the pinch of higher prices, take heart. There could be a much bigger Social Security cost of living adjustment next year. Now keep in mind, this is what I've seen, those on SSI, SSDI, Social Security. When one gets a bump, it's kind of like they all get a bump because everybody's depending on that check, and you can't help one without helping the other. So keep that in mind. So they're saying that this is a nonpartisan senior group that finds that 2003 cost of a living adjustment could be as high as 7.6%. just based on the latest data. In comparison, the Social Security cost of living for 2022 in January was only 5.9%, but it was the highest bump in 40 years. Data released Thursday found that the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers, also known as the CPI-U, notched a new 40-year high with an increase of 7.9% just over the last 12 months. So the Social Security calculated based on another measure, that Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, or those on the CPI-W. Higher oil prices were one factor in the Senior Citizens League current 7.6% estimate. So they're trying to gather data to really show people that this thing is going to keep going up. So the average retiree benefit is currently around that $1,500 mark, according to the Senior Citizens League. But as of March this month, the benefit would need to be around $1,700 to keep up with the 8.6 year-over-year increase. Today, that is a total of $107, around $108 shortfall in benefits for the average retiree. So this is showing us that really people, you should be getting a $107 increase just to keep up with the 8.6% that has increased just from January. From January to March, it's literally increased, and so has your benefit increased. Let us know down in the comments below, because they're saying that retirees should be getting a $107 increase, but the Social Security is not intended to replace all of the person's income in retirement. Keep that in mind. This is where you should be, but whether they get this out or not in time, who knows, because the inflation is just going to keep going up. So stay tuned. Always know we're here to bring you the most up-to-date news of what's going on. But we see here that with inflation already in March going up so much, that's $107. What happens when it keeps going up to the 9, to the 10, to the 11, to the 12? Well, then that means that you're going to be getting more money. But is it really more money when the inflation, when the price of gas and the food is so high? It's almost like it's just trying to even itself out. Let us know your thoughts and comments down below. But this is definitely some positive news that you're going to be getting more money, so that way you can make it through the week and you can make it through the month. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. We did something different today, and we'll go back to making videos like we used to, where we're doing more of the slideshows and stuff like that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support. Let us know in the comments what you want information on, and we'll do our best to bring you that news. As always, thank you for watching. I'm John Muro. Peace.